welcome to our live online recruitment briefing with the NHS regarding their apprenticeships. I'm Rachel Keane. I'm the founder and CEO of the Data Inspiration Group and the Dig Data programme, which is a virtual work experience offering that develops data literacy and digital skills for students across secondary and tertiary education. I formed the business in July 21 and I'm so proud of what we've achieved to date. We work with approximately 2,500 schools and 105 universities, and we have more than 25,000 students now who use our platform. We have created free resources that are delivered online, in the classroom and on site. We've worked with some incredible partners, but I have to say we are super excited about the partnership with NHS. We are now their official schools and university outreach partner, and we'll be assisting them in driving and signposting students just like yourself to their apprenticeships, placement and graduate schemes nationally. We want to use this session to dispel the myth that data careers are only for maths geniuses or computer fanatics, and that every role requires coding or data science skills, because that simply is not the case. We all use data and information to run reports, make decisions, deliver presentations, but we don't all call ourselves data professionals. All careers require data and digital literacy skill, regardless of your job title or industry sector. This live online recruitment briefing tonight will give you the opportunity to learn from the panelists today and understand the incredible, impactful career opportunities that await you from the typical frontline doctor and nurse roles we often only relate to the NHS and healthcare. What to expect this evening? Well, we've got an absolutely jam-packed 60 minutes. We're going to start with our keynotes, which is Sarah Blundell, who's lead for data and analytics development for the NHS, and Andy Lavelle, who's the senior manager for analytical professionalisation. They're going to give us an overview of their Data and Analytics Academy that launches in April 25. And how they're aiming to build a diverse workforce. We're then going to have a really exciting data apprenticeship panel session where we'll have 3 apprentices, Rohan, Helen and Sarah, who will share their journeys and experience with you so far. And we'll then meet our apprenticeship and recruitment experts, including Naveed, Kim and Elisa. This panel will discover the breadth of careers available and skills required to undertake a data apprenticeship for the NHS nationally. Now, without further ado, I'm sure everyone's very bored of listening to me, and I'd like to pop over to our 2 keynote speakers, Sarah and Andy. Please do introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Rachel, and good evening, everybody. So I'm Sarah Blundell. I'm the lead for data and analytics development here in the NHS. I've been around in data and analytics in the NHS for 20 years. Andy, what about yourself?
My name's Andy Lavelle. I'm Senior Manager for Analytical Professionalisation at NHS England, and I've been in the NHS for a whopping 35 years.
Yeah, life sentence there, most definitely, Andy. But fantastic. Yeah, we're really great. We're really pleased that you guys are all joining us today to hear about data careers in the NHS. Andy and I, as we say, are lifers. We're here because we love what we do and we want to raise awareness of these careers to more and more people, because we think it's a fantastic place to become a data professional. Andy, though, has some fantastic slides that he wants to get up and showcase, and we'll sort of talk along with them. So, Andy, do you want to start driving?
I can. Yeah. So I suppose the first thing really that we just wanted to say is about how we use data in the NHS. So as Rachel said, we often just think of, the medical side of things within the NHS, but there's a lot of stuff to make sure that we're evidencing that we're doing things, measure how we're going with our performance, plan for what we're going to be doing, and then to making sure that we're delivering those services that we need to be doing. And it helps make sure that we're getting those best outcomes for the populations. And increasingly as well, we're beginning to, you'll have heard everybody talking about AI and things, but there's a lot more work that's going on now, is to say, we don't just want to be looking at where things are now, but how things are going to move forward, that predictive analytics that we get, thinking about the factors that are going to affect the healthcare in 5, 10, 15 years time, and how we can start to think about those, plan for those and build those into the modelling that we're doing. And a couple of years ago, the government did a policy paper, Data Saves Lives, about reshaping health and social care with data. And it really put data as a key element within how we want to be moving forwards with health and social care, so that we're best utilising things for patients, and also that we're making sure that we've got really high quality data and information to be doing this. And when we're talking about data, we're not just thinking about numbers, we're thinking about pictures, scans, text stuff, all this other information that we have, that we pick up as people go through the system, and how do we make best use of that so that we can then make sure we're getting those best patient outcomes. So
Yeah, that's a really
I
good
will
point, Andy. I mean,
hand over
most.
I'll hand over to Sarah on this, because this is Sarah's animation, but it is absolutely brilliant.
It is when it works. So yes, so as I say, when people think of data, they probably maybe only think of people that maybe work as an analyst or work as a data scientist, but actually there's a whole range of different data careers that are available within the NHS, but actually within the public sector generally. You know, most people will come in either as a data engineer or come in as a data analyst. They're the main entry points coming into the NHS. And data analysts need to have really fantastic communication skills, because they need to be able to translate and work between people working with clinicians or multidisciplinary teams, etc., as well as people working into sort of being able to understand core data analytics skills. People in data engineering will end up doing a lot of data processing. How do we take things in? How do we transform it to make the most use of it? How do we get the most out of the work that we've got? But similarly, there are then all these different specialist careers that come off from that, whether that's progressing into data science, you know, say Andy said, you know, really getting into that more numbers heavy, more programming based work, but really thinking, how do we then, you know, bring in things like artificial intelligence into healthcare, but to do it safely, to do it in a way that's not introducing unfair bias within the system. But you know, as a result of that, you know, we need to then be having people who are going to be real specialists in things like, you know, data ethics, or machine learning programmers coming under machine learning engineers, or people then that are responsible from a data governance perspective. And all of these careers are interlinked. You know, you don't have to stay on one path. You can start somewhere, develop a preference and a skill base for a particular area, go and explore it for a while. That's the nicest thing about working in the NHS, is that actually people tend to be here for quite a long time, and so therefore you can take the time to explore and develop skills in different areas, because we want people to move around. We want people to gain loads of valid experience that they then can be used in other parts of the healthcare system. Andy, can we have the next slide, please?
Certainly. Do you want me to just say about this and then hand over to you, Sarah?
Yeah, go for it.
So where we're heading is we're developing and setting up the NHS Data and Analytics Academy, and really we've got kind of the mission is to make health and care recognised as the best place to work if you're a data professional in all those different branches that you've got, and really making it a properly professional, exciting, vibrant community of analysts. And the way that we're looking to support our development of this is, firstly, events like tonight, you know, getting new talent in, making people aware of the fact that we're here and the sorts of work that we do. And then once you're here, we'll be working with you all the time, looking how we upskill you, how we build you on those development tracks, how we get you to see those new opportunities that are coming up, and how you can start to make the most of those. And maybe you'll go down one of these tracks of becoming a fantastic leader of data and analytics within the NHS and beyond, and how we can look to support you on doing that. And then just engaging engaging you in wider data literacy. A lot of people get really scared about, you know, data and information, and there's a kind of meeting of people that are data professionals with people that maybe, you know, aren't so sure about data. And there's a lot of stuff around how we create stories, how do we create great pictures with data that communicate and share that knowledge that we've done. And really, Sarah's the absolute brainchild behind this. So Sarah, just sell it some more, please.
Sell it some more. Well, as I say, yes, this is definitely mine and quite a few other people's brainchilds for this area. Now, obviously, the idea of these different areas, and in particular the new talent pillar, which is why you're all here today, is around how do we raise awareness of data as a career? How do we diversify and make all different routes into the NHS as accessible and well known as possible, because a lot of these routes already exist, but people aren't aware of them. So from a perspective of coming in as new talent, there are sort of a key couple of ways that people generally come in. They can come in through our school leaving apprenticeships, etc. Now, that doesn't have to be school leavers. Some people join our apprenticeship schemes having done a degree or having gone on and done a different career and come in as an apprenticeship later. But basically, those people would come in, if we're bringing them in, I'll do our level 4 data and analyst apprenticeship. And for those sorts of areas, bringing people in, we're expecting people to have had a minimum of a grade 4 in maths and English. We aren't normally requiring people to have done maths at A level. We're asking people to have done A levels. So it was a really good idea for that, but we're not setting like a minimum requirement for sort of those areas. Again, it varies from employer to employer within the NHS, but generally people can come in not having done maths and STEM into doing our data and analytics program. What we're interested in is people with curiosity, people who want to look at something and want to get under the hood and understand how something works, and also really wants to understand what the impact of doing something has on something else, has another thing, because ultimately the NHS is about people. It's about the healthcare that we all use, and therefore what we're doing for data and analytics is not in a vacuum. It's all about how what we do impacts on the front line. The second route coming in is people can come in having done a degree through our graduate program. Requires a minimum requirement of a 2-2 for a degree coming in. And again, you don't have to have come in doing a data and analytics based or a data science based degree. You can come in having done a full range of things. But obviously, if you have done something that's numerate, then you're already pretty much a shoe-in for coming into data and analytics, or health informatics, as we call it, through our graduate training program. And of course, then there's also opportunities for placements and internships as well as part of that. So that's what we're trying to do. Part of the new talent is to package that thing up under the academy and make it really well known. Now, I'm going to hand back over to Rachel now, because I think it's time we actually hear from some of our own apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Absolutely that. I mean, that was so insightful. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Andy. I think everybody on this call is going to want to learn more from the Data Apprentices. So let's introduce them. Rohan, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rohan. I'm a apprentice software developer at Arden and Gem. Yeah. And yeah.
Fantastic. Helen, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Helen O'Donnell. I was a digital degree apprentice within the NHS Business Services Authority, and I'm now data visualization manager.
Fantastic. And Sarah?
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Lambert. I have just completed a level 4 apprenticeship in project management.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Right, let's kick this session off with question 1. Rohan, let's go to you first of all. Can you share what inspired you to pursue a data apprenticeships rather than another career or higher education?
So I started off dropping out of university in my 3rd year of chemical engineering, not really sure where I wanted to go, what I wanted to, progress in terms of my career. I was familiar with a bit of coding, not too much, not nearly as much as I've learned over my apprenticeship, but yeah, I had a bit of interest in coding, and yeah, when the opportunity came from NHS, Arden and Gem, I took it. I was, I could learn and earn at the same time. I'm not living with my parents, so I had to, finance that as well. So this was a good opportunity for me to progress in terms of my career. Yeah, I was, surprised that NHS was one of the largest employers in the UK as well. So yeah, they really helped open up doors for me. So yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Helen, what about yourself?
Well, I come from a maths background, but I started in research before I found this apprenticeship. And so I was looking for a career change, and I was looking to go down a data branch. But I was also really interested in web design. So I looked at an apprenticeship because it covers a range of technologies, and it covers a range of kind of topics as well. So I found the apprenticeship within the NHS Business Services Authority. And it covered security, it covered web design, it covered data analysis. And so that really felt like a good chance to have the career change and learn whilst working as well. So as was said before, you get paid whilst doing the apprenticeship. Your employer funds that apprenticeship as well, which is really useful, as well as being able to put into practice your learning as well.
Fantastic, which might mean that where you're a data visualization with the kind of the security, the web design, you couple them together
very well together. Yeah.
A great combination. Sarah, over to you.
Yeah, so I actually went to a university and graduated with a communications degree. And I think along the line, I realized that wasn't it for me. And I decided to think of what to do. So I thought of getting like a Salesforce certification and so many other things. But my career path was not really straightforward because I worked in a hospital as a housekeeper in a ward. I moved to an administrative role, and I discovered about apprenticeships in the NHS, and it's just been a very rewarding journey because how can I have the best of both worlds at the same time? Going to school, learning and earning. And let me not even talk about not thinking about taking student loans. So that was why I decided to actually go through apprenticeship, that I can actually finish a certification and have experience instead of going out after a degree certificate and start thinking of, oh, I have zero experience. So I thought that it was an opportunity to come with knowledge and experience at the same time instead of coming out with just knowledge.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Sounds amazing. So, Rohan, let's go back to you. Can you tell us more about the training you've received, both technical and soft skills?
So, yeah, the apprenticeship is structured in such a way that you've got your work. So 4 days you're working with a team, the whole department that you'll be working with. And then 1 day you get given a study day as well, where we can focus on your apprenticeship tasks. So in terms of technical stuff, I was doing software development apprenticeship. So you'll do whatever language that your company is using. So for us, it was C#. You know, other stuff like other libraries such as Angular, Node.js, and React. That's SQL. You learn all of those. In terms of the technical side. And the soft skills. For soft skills, our training provider, well, mine, was Firebrand, and basically what they do and what I found quite useful was that they actually have a tracker for your soft skills as well. So whether it's communication skills, problem solving, time management, or collaboration, you can actually track and measure how you're improving across. And then you have regular meetings with your mentors as well. So yeah, a lot of soft skills and technical skills that I plan on taking forward in my career as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. Sounds like you're incredibly supported there. Helen, tell us a little bit about the training you received.
Yeah, so as part of the degree apprenticeship, it was very similar to Rohan in that I would have 4 days at university and 1 day in the workplace, and you were able to put into practice your learning straight away. We learned a lot about data analysis, statistics. We also learned the kind of more technical side of things, as in databases, networking, security, project management as well. And because the workplace is so supportive, you could often kind of go and sit with someone and shadow what they were doing, or people were really keen to kind of tell you more about what they were doing. So I learned a lot of soft skills around communication, and how to kind of work, especially in a workplace as well, ways of working, iterative development, that sort of thing, and managing a project.
Fantastic. Sarah, what about yourself?
So I studied the APM, that's the Associate Project Management qualification. That was for 2 years. In 4 days, I will work my 9 to 5, and 1 day study day. Once in a month, I will get a workshop that was facilitated by the learning provider, which was Learning Curve. And I will get one seminar paper to do every month and mock exams to prepare towards the exam. So my course was in 2 sections. I had the APM exam to write, and then I had an endpoint assessment where I submitted a portfolio of evidence to show the kind of work I was doing. Now, in my 9 to 5, I was matched with like a mentor, work mentor, and a buddy that you can always go for when you are in doubt, or just when you begin to think, oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Because as an apprentice, you might have days like that. But then the workplace is Adam and Jem is a very supportive organization, and I've learned not just technical skills on how to manage projects from inception to closure, realization of benefits, and other aspects of projects. But also, I've also learned soft skills like communication, good stakeholder management, and even how to interpret data to be able to achieve desired outcomes. So currently, I'm just rolled off from a program called the Northwest Secure Data Environment, where the NHS is housing data to be able to be, in order to use that data to make informed research, in order to, develop the future of medicine. So regardless of what kind of apprenticeship you do, I think data is the main thing, and using that kind of data, helps to shape projects, outcomes, and deliverables.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah. That's just sounds so rewarding and such a great place to work, Baron, let's go back to you. What have been the biggest challenges transitioning into a data apprenticeship role, and how have you overcome them? Obviously, you were studying full time. Now you went into a data apprenticeship. Any challenges?
Unlike Sarah, I'm still doing my EPA, so I've got that exam still looming in a month's time from now. That's one of the challenges, I guess. For me, biggest challenges, I did chemical engineering, which was very like maths based, theoretical. I'm learning theory all the time, memorizing, and switching that coming into the apprenticeship from, just reading books or like watching lectures to now actually implementing it and, attending meetings weekly or, 2, 3 times a week, having different team members rely on you for your work really pushed me to, be more organized and really put more effort into my learning as well. And um, yeah, just main thing I'd say is be more organized. Working in a professional environment was a big different, like it was a different thing compared to like university. That being said, though, there's a lot of people that help you out, like, so you've got your mentors always helping you out. And with Arden and Jem, I think Sarah already said this, we have a separate team, the apprentice team, that like push you as well. So not only do you work with like, qualified professionals that have been working in the field for a long time, but you're also working with you get to interact with other apprentices who are in your position as well. So you're never quite left alone. It's just in your mind if you do feel that. But talk, everyone's there to talk, and NHS is, really collaborative. So yeah.
Fantastic. That's really good to hear. Helen, what about yourself? What was the biggest challenge for you?
I was lucky enough to gain a full-time job within the third year of my apprenticeship. So it's a 3-year course. And in which case in that role, I was working full-time, so 5 days a week. But there was still an agreement from my employer that I could do my university work, and that would kind of help towards what we were doing in the workplace. So my employer were really quite flexible with that. But I would say trying to do the full-time role and the apprenticeship was just trying to manage my time, and again, kind of project plan ahead, build on parts of knowledge as well. So I think it was more the kind of time. Another sort of challenge was just topics that I wasn't as aware of, in which case, there's nothing like a good bit of Google and research and asking people around the workplace as well. So it's just, yeah, you get more of a handle on the material as you go through the topic, but a good question to a colleague is great.
Absolutely. Google is everyone's best friend, I'm sure. Sarah, yourself, what was your biggest challenge?
So actually in an apprenticeship, there's knowledge, skills, and behaviors that you should be able to achieve. So at some point, it was trying to sync the knowledge I get from my learning to the behaviors and the skills I have in my current job. Sometimes it could be that I had been asked to do a task, but then I later on do the course. So then there was a bit of gap to the point of, aha, this was what was taught in class. And I think another challenge sometimes was some projects or programs could be very fast paced. So as a learner, you have to be very resilient to be able to put your mind to say, this is what I actually want to do, and put in all your efforts. And just knowing that it's maybe 2 years, 3 years, I will be done, and look at what the outcome will be. And that will, help you to keep going. And like Rohan said, we had a network of apprentices. So that kind of helped to settle in. Because sometimes when you're in doubt, if you speak to another apprentice, you realize that, okay, everyone is actually in doubt. So I'm not just alone in the midst of a big ocean. So those were my challenges. I think the other challenge I had was some programs will close, but the thing with the NHS is there's always a need, and it could be the very last minute, something will come up and you'll be assigned to another program or another project or any other work. So I think in the NHS, you're never in doubt of what do I do, or what does the future hold? Because there's always a place for a skill and talent in the NHS.
Fantastic. That was well said. Well finished off. Okay, I'm a bit mindful of time, so I'm going to skip a question. I'm going to go to you, Rohan. What advice would you give to someone considering a data apprenticeship, especially in a field as critical as healthcare? You're on mute there, Rohan.
Sorry, yeah, no, I
Sorry.
just realized, my bad. The advice I would give is obviously you'll be working in a sector as crucial as healthcare, so you've got to nail security and compliance. So GDPR, you've got to follow all of those steps. That's just the start. Like that, you have to do that. And then I'd say I'd say look into, if you're develop, like if you're going into this apprenticeship, look to develop problem solving skills. Don't be afraid to start from scratch, and really take advantage of the mentorship that you get. So yeah, just learn as much as you can, I'd say. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a good lesson, a message for life, I think. Helen, tell me, what advice would you give?
Mine was a similar sentiment, but I would say grab any opportunity that you can as well. So there was, many opportunities to shadow or go on learning courses. I think all that kind of knowledge feeds into the wider picture of how an organization works. So I know you mentioned GDPR there, kind of governance practices, and it really does help kind of support you as well in where you want to go. So just having knowledge of the kind of different practices will help get you there.
Fantastic. Thank you. Sarah, what's your advice?
My advice is, if you're thinking of an apprenticeship, you should absolutely do it. And an apprenticeship is the only place you can walk and be comfortable that you're a learner. So unlike when you go to, let's say, a uni and you graduate, they expect that you should know. But as an apprentice, you do not go to the workplace as an expert, you go as a learner. So that gives you an opportunity to learn whatever it is around you. And you should have the appetite to want to learn, even across what you're doing, because you might even start an apprenticeship and realize, oh, I might end up going to cybersecurity or business analysis. So it's a learning curve, and it's important that you harness every aspect of your journey. Because right now, my apprenticeship journey has ended, and I will say it's been the best rewarding 2 years of my life, because I have learned and worked with people that ordinarily I might not be able to have access to on a normal day. But these are people that I actually have worked with on program and projects. So an apprenticeship is really a good step in your career.
Wow, what a saleswoman you are. I feel like literally applying for it myself. What advice would you give a student who is unsure whether to undertake an apprenticeship or go to university? And Rohan, you know, this is definitely one for you.
Yeah, no, I'd say depends what kind of learning, what's your learning style? What type of where do you see yourself in the future? Have you, you know, if you're not if you're unsure, if you're sure, you know, so I'd say if you want if you want to pursue certain careers such as medicine, law, then I'd say yes, you need to go to university. But for me, I dropped out of university, Rachel. So, and I am in that student debt. So, yeah, it's over my head. But that being said, you know, apprenticeship has really opened the doors for me. You know, I gained experience that I wouldn't have whilst I was if I was to just study. And after leaving chemical engineering, I was thinking, should I now just do a computer science degree? You know, I did think of that, and I was like, you know what? No, I actually want hands-on experience because every job I'd be applying to, and I know this is what everyone says about apprenticeships, like, you know, you get that experience and everything, but that really is key. Employers are looking for that, and I didn't want to waste, well, not waste, but spend 3 years studying,
Yeah.
and then only to be told you don't have the required work experience. So for me that was the crucial like difference to not going into computer science and then going into this.
Exactly. And I think, you know, Rohan, it's really important to understand that every decision you make and every experience you have is always something that you learn from, right? You should never regret it, because it, you know, quite often these decisions lead us on, you know, to bigger and better things or empower you to do other things. And I think, you know, that's the message here. Helen,
I just want to say, sorry, I just want to say one thing to everyone in the audience here is this is your future. Really think, really look into what you want to do, you know, and there's a lot of paths. There are a lot of paths, you know. I know one of my colleagues, he's 19 and he's done the apprenticeship, and he'll be, you know, progressing a lot faster than, you know, and so then someone who's going to university finishes at 21, then gets into data. So it really depends, I'd say, what you want to do. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to.
That's all right. I loved it. Loved the passion, Rohan. I love it. Helen, your advice: apprenticeship, university. What would you, if somebody's sort of struggling and unsure, what would you say?
I'm a big promoter of apprenticeships. I think there's a wealth of kind of benefits from it. You know, your employer paying for, you know, your degree, paying you for full time, still getting the experience of learning whilst working as well, and kind of having that experience as well. But I would say think about what you want to achieve and the long term impact of that as well. I think there's benefits, there's pros and cons with everything that you choose, and it depends on what you want to do as an individual.
Absolutely that. Sarah, do you have anything to add? I know that you've absolutely promoted apprenticeships and you are absolutely in them. Have you got a one-liner for us to wrap up this session?
Yeah, of course, apprenticeships, definitely, because I've gone through uni, finished, and done an apprenticeship, finished. And I feel like An apprenticeship puts you out there and gives you more leverage, unlike going to uni and starting in an entry role. An apprenticeship will push you, because currently I'm like on the band 5 in the NHS, and I've had offers of like band 7. So that's what apprenticeship actually does to your journey, career journey.
Fantastic. Well, what a great session, guys. Thank you so much. You've certainly inspired me. I'm sure you've inspired everybody on the call. Thank you for taking some time out. I'm going to move on now to our apprenticeship and recruitment experts, who are Naveed, Kim and Elisa. So Kim, I'm going to start the session with you, if I may. Kim, there's a breadth of data apprenticeship schemes available nationally within the NHS. Can you tell us a little bit about the range of apprenticeship schemes available, please? I know there's lots of action in the chat.
Yes, and I would say that within the data kind of sphere, we have a huge range. So as you've heard, we've got software engineers, we've got people doing their degrees, we've got people doing masters in artificial intelligence and machine learning. We do a lot of work around project management, data engineering. We do technical skills as well. So we do level 6 courses that focus on Microsoft Azure, cloud infrastructure, all that kind of thing. So we really do stretch the breadth of what you can do within data. And one of the things about data apprenticeships is they're ever evolving. So we go from, what the apprenticeships that we were offering 3 or 4 years ago are very different to the ones that we offer now. And for example, with artificial intelligence, obviously it's an emerging trend within the DDAP area, and the one that we're signing people up to at the moment has actually only existed for the last 2 months. So it's very much an emerging trend, and we readily encourage people to explore areas that they're interested in, come back to us, and then we work out whether or not we can fit that into any of the available apprenticeships going forward. But we also do apprenticeships around business analytics, project management, as Sarah's done, and Scrum Master as well. So you can really get into it's not just data, but how to keep a data team running in the background as well.
Fantastic. That just amazing. I love the fact that they're forever evolving as well, right? So constantly keeping up with what's actually happening. Elisa, let's move on to you. Okay, so what skills and personal attributes do you look for in potential data apprentices, and how can students develop these?
Hi everyone, and so nice to see such a good turnout today. There's a few things I've kind of broken it down into, and for one, when I was thinking about it, I thought analytical thinking, curiosity, problem solving are really important in the role. I think the fact that you can break down complex tasks to small manageable components is really important. And I would say working on this outside of a work setting, just practicing problem solving, using open source data sets, showing that you're interested in doing a bit of this work yourself is really interesting. We host an open data portal where you can look and find NHS data online. Working on logic puzzles helps you to build this skill as well, that sort of analytical thinking skill. I was thinking also around communication skills. So it's really important that once you've done a piece of analysis, for example, you can explain that insight to a technical and the non-technical audience, and it has to be really clear. Your key findings have to be summarized. So if in that step 1, you did some practice problem solving, used an open source data set, practice summarizing what those key findings are. Look for workshops on data storytelling, which is sort of just as important as the analysis that you've done, because if you didn't bring that point across, then you would be miscommunicating some of your findings. But also maybe set up a study group where you can share your findings, critique each other. I'd say the third point I'd say around that technical skills, it's really hard.
Has anyone else lost Elisa?
Yeah, I just lost Elisa. Lisa, are you there?
She did say our internet was cutting out earlier.
Okay, no problem. I'm just going to fill in quickly while Lisa is offline. For those of you, sorry, Lisa, you dropped out there.
Am I back?
You are back.
I'm
Your
back.
third point.
Sorry.
Tell us what your third point
Someone-
is. Oh, you've gone again. You've gone again, Elisa. I think probably, let me just fill in here quickly, guys. For those of you that want to gain some virtual work experience with the NHS, we have already delivered online for our first step and next step cohorts. So that's years 7 to 9 for first step, years 10 to 13 for next step. You can find them in our library resource. If one of the Dictator team could pop that in the chat, that would be amazing. For any of you that are undergraduates on the call, then please register to attend our session on the 4th of March at 6 o'clock. Elisa, I'm going to let you complete that last point. Hopefully with your video off, we'll have a better reception. Are you there?
Am I here?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I've transferred devices. So I would say that technical skills, we understand people are coming from different places. So we're not looking for specific technical skills. We want to grow you in that area. We want to nurture that space. It really depends on where you arrive and what you're doing. But seeing that someone's done some self-driven learning using sort of online courses, introductory courses, that's a really good way of evidencing that you are sort of trying really hard and want it. And then teamwork, evidencing that you're a good team player. You may be coming out of school and not necessarily have that, but you might be doing a team sport, you might be playing team games, projects that you may have been involved in. Stress that that's part of your ethos. So
Fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry
Lovely. No, it's absolutely fine. It was great. Some fantastic advice. Kim, let's move on to you. Could you walk us through very briefly the application process for NHS data apprenticeships and any sort of tips that where you've seen candidates in the past that have really stood out? What's your kind of, three-liner on this?
So the key thing is that we process all of our apprenticeships online. So we use an online portal called Track. It has its ups and downs. However, the advantage of it is that it stores your data. So once you've filled it in once, it will remember all of that. And then the only thing that you would then have to update will be your personal statement. If I had one massive tip for people who are applying, whether it's an apprenticeship or not, it's very much please take the time to really think about your personal statement. I know that it sounds, you read through the job description and you look at the apprenticeship standards and you go, yep, I really want to do that. And I want you to tell me why you really want to do that. I want to be able to hear the passion in why you've decided to apply for software engineering, for example, app development like Rohan did. So that is really important. And with our apprenticeships, the kind of next steps for that are, if you're shortlisted, we did ours as recruitment days. So we kind of, in the same way that Elisa commented, we send you some open source data. We use the NHS England's open source data, and we basically send you a specific amount of rows, and we say, I want you to tell me what you think this tells you. We don't mind if you do it in Excel. We had people who learned how to use Power BI just off of YouTube, which was fantastic. I really don't mind how you present that to me. It could be in a PowerPoint, it could be in any way that you choose, but it's more about you interacting with that data and then making a decision and making some insights based off of that data and then presenting it back to me. So we do that as well as the traditional kind of Q&A, but we did ours very short. What is it about this apprenticeship that excites you? What do you want to get out of it? In terms of tips for that, very much read up on where you're going, read up on the apprenticeship. What is it that you're hoping to achieve as a result of it? Is there a reason that you've chosen to think about taking on the challenge that is working full time whilst doing your apprenticeship? It's not the easiest choice, but as our apprentices have said, it can be very rewarding. But that's one of the things that often is asked when you get to the next stage of recruitment. In terms of tips, I know that Alyssa covered quite a few of the things that we certainly look for in ours, which is that prior, not experience with data, but prior idea of what you want to be able to do with it in terms of why you've gone into this particular field, in whatever that looks like. If you've been able to go to online workshops, that always looks good, because it means that you've already gone, actually, this isn't something I've never done before. I've done this for a couple of weeks. As you know, Rachel, I'm involved with the dig data stuff. So I think that's a really fantastic idea for students who want to be able to say, is this what I want to do? Because an apprenticeship is a commitment for 18 to 24 months. And, you want to be able to say that you've given that thought at recruitment.
And also something to talk about at interview, right? What you've enjoyed, what you need to develop, and to develop those skills. Naveed, let's move on to you. I'm very conscious of time, as always, because we could literally talk all night. I know that. But Naveed, let me bring you into the mix here. You're currently designing a digital apprenticeship toolkit for NHS providers. How are you going to attract candidates from diverse educational backgrounds? And why is this so important to the data profession?
So I'll explain one of the reasons we're doing a toolkit for providers. If you think about the NHS, and it's one of the largest organisations in England, we employ 1.5 million staff members, and we did a survey in 23-24, and it showed us that there was only almost 300 new digital apprentices that came into the organisation. So it's a very small number. Now, what I'm doing is creating a toolkit to say to organisations in the NHS that the apprenticeship is a very good route to bring in new staff members, and to gain new talent, and actually foster that talent in-house. So part of that is actually diversity and inclusion, because we do want to bring in people of different backgrounds, people of different experience, etc. So by incorporating the diversity and inclusion strategies into the documents that we're creating out for the system, we can leverage digital apprenticeships and build a more inclusive and effective workforce. And that's going to help us enhance service delivery and patient care. Now, one of the things I am doing within the toolkit is looking at apprentices of BAME backgrounds and saying, look, this is their journey. I'm going out to wherever there are talks happening like today, where apprentices are sharing their stories. And I've learned that people of BAME background, students, they will be more likely to join an organisation that has approached them directly as a BAME group. So these kind of learnings that I do, I push them out to our providers out in the system to say, look, these are the learnings that we're doing. Please use these and start to make more apprenticeship courses and bring in more diversity, please.
Fantastic. Removing those barriers. That's what we like to hear, Naveed. That must be rewarding in itself. So thank you so much for that. Appreciated. Kim, let's go back to you. Are there any regional differences in NHS data apprenticeship opportunities? And how do you ensure accessibility for candidates across the UK? I know there's been quite a lot of questions popping up in the chat, so you may well have covered some of it, but it might be quite nice just to, so everyone can hear that, if that's all right.
Yes, and one of the key questions that seems to be coming up in the chat is around neurodiversity, and I would like to reassure that the NHS is massively diverse in terms of its approach to applicants and apprenticeships. I have my personal team of apprentices. We have successfully helped apprentices with neurodiversity who need that extra support or just don't understand how to approach their application. So right from the beginning, if you start applying for something and you're not sure about it, please ring the number that's attached to the application. They will help you, talk you through what you need to do in terms of right from the beginning. In terms of regional differences, I would say that my organisation is national, and so as is NHS Business and NHS England. So we really do approach this from a broad sweep across the whole of the country. Within trust levels within the hospitals, there will be small differences, but the application process will be the same. the things that we're all looking for are the same, and you know, it's really about that enthusiasm, and that really does come across across the whole of the NHS as a whole. In terms of accessibility around hybrid working, travelling to the office, a lot of our organisations are hybrid. So I work out of my home office, and we do have regional offices all over the country that you will be assigned to, but there isn't the requirement for you to go in every day. I know that in NHS England there's a requirement for you to be in the office two days out of 5, I think, at the moment. But again, that is, you know, we are a very flexible organisation that works with our workforce to make sure that everyone feels as supported as possible.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Naveed, I'm going to come back to you. What are the career progression opportunities for those who start as a data apprentice in the NHS?
Yes, so there are a lot of opportunities, because if you think even within becoming a data apprentice, there are so many routes within the data and analytics area. So you've got like data analyst, data ethicist, data engineer, governance manager, you've got scientist, performance analyst. So there are a whole load of routes already. But the great thing about the NHS, and I can tell you this from my own experience, because I started in 2012 as a program officer, and I've moved around and done so many different roles until I've settled as a program manager at the moment. There are so many different routes that you can take throughout your career. So even if you start in data, there's like architecture you can go to, clinical informatics, cybersecurity. You can even go into education training, information governance, information technology operations. There are so many jobs out there. Now, what my team are doing, so I work for the digital profession team at NHS England, and we are looking to increase the number of digital roles within the NHS. And one of the ways we're doing that is looking at all these job roles that I've just sort of started to talk about, and we're trying to professionalize them so that they're recognized by a professional body. So if you want to come in and do something like cybersecurity, there will be like a professional body that you can subscribe to that will help you with your career progression. And we're working with a website which is useful for everybody to know as well, which is a health careers website. So if you go on there, it tells you all about health careers, and we're actually working with them to actually acknowledge and introduce these new digital and data roles.
Fantastic. Thank you, Naveed. And we're going to close with this last question with Elisa. Elisa, what advice would you provide to parents, guardians, or potential apprentices that are on the call today to help them support their child's decision to pursue this career path?
I think parents and carers are really important in sort of the development and encouragement of young adults in these sort of roles. And you can tell I'm an analyst. I've like chunked this one up as well. Number one, sort of amazing that you're here if you're on this call already, because this is already a huge step. But and to understand that career path, we work with the National Competency Framework for Data Professionals, understanding what competencies one would need to start enabling at different levels is really important. So you can have that sort of conversation and asking questions to have that conversation. What about data excites the person as an individual? Where do they see themselves progressing? And maybe working together to go to career fairs and gain more insight about what's available in the NHS. I think it's really important to encourage that passion, the curiosity, to help them build relevant skills, exploring online courses together and coding challenges, supporting that involvement in clubs and coding groups, tech communities. That working together is really important. And there are online platforms where you can take introductory courses, as well as maybe encouraging a personal portfolio. I know that I don't remember all the things that I did sort of even last year, let alone a few years ago. So building that evidence is really important. Like this, exploring apprenticeships opportunities together, applying for research and the researching apprenticeship programs, encouraging real world experience, promoting perseverance and resilience. Like the field of data is super rewarding, and very satisfying when you achieve your results, but it can be hard. Learning new skills is always difficult. So fostering that resilience and growth mindset, encouraging them to view mistakes and as learning opportunities, not as failures, helping to set realistic goals, celebrate progress when it comes, like really embrace that together. And success does come from that persistence and continuous learning. And finally, just being their biggest cheerleader, so listening actively to thoughts and their challenges, offering engagement, practical advice when needed, and that celebration of the milestones, whether they're big or small, to boost that confidence and motivation.
I think I'd just like to add to that as well, you know, as a mum of a 21-year-old daughter who a few years ago was going through these kind of decision-making sort of steps, is that what is it that you like to do? What is it that you're good at? What is it that you'd like to be good at? What is it that interests you? Because if you can find a career which can keep you excited, keep you educated, that you enjoy, and you feel rewarded from it, then that is a really good starting point. You don't need to know all of the answers, but actually, I think somebody mentioned it earlier, you know, I think it was you, Elise, there, you know, if you play sport, if you're in a team, if you do certain things in your you know, in your social life, in your free time, then actually they are really great key skills that you can bring into the workplace. So really think about this as a very rounded kind of decision. Great. Well, look, that kind of that ends our apprenticeship and recruitment panel there. Guys, thank you so much. That was so informative, really supportive. Thank you for all your advice and tips. I know we've had so much chat coming on, but what I'd really like to do is bring Sarah and Andy back into the fold for some closing words, if I may. Sarah, Andy, can I bring you back, please?
You can. Sorry, I've been like following the chat,
Ding, ding, ding,
doing my best to answer all these amazing questions that have been coming up. There's some definite enthusiasm here. Fantastic. I would obviously closing thing is, for me, be curious, go on and start exploring on the NHS jobs, at the range of apprenticeship options that are offered. I mean, obviously there's people that want to be involved more medically. The NHS does offer a whole range of medical based apprenticeships. Now, you're never going to become a doctor through an apprenticeship route, but you could become a pharmacist. You could again, there's plenty of things that from the nursing thing. I've obviously already found the how to become a paramedic through an apprenticeship route for someone who's been asking in the chat, and a whole load of other things: library services, finance, admin, project management. There's a current digital apprentice one up in Carlisle that I've been posting, etc. So please, if you are interested, the best thing you can do is start going on there and exploring and looking then at the range of things. But most of these entry-level positions are only asking for people to have got their GCSEs. They're not asking for anything more specific than that. So go on and explore. Andy, over to you.
I just really, I feel hugely inspired, honoured, and, you know, proud to be working alongside all the people that have been on this call tonight, telling you about how great it is to be working in that field of data analytics, digital, and working within the NHS. And hopefully that's come across tonight to everyone, and it's really motivated people to want to look into this more.
Fantastic. Well, a couple of things. A huge thank you to everybody that put the time aside this evening to share their experiences, their journeys, their tips, their hints. For Sarah and Andy, for bringing this all together as partnership and giving all of these young people the opportunity to really hear from the experts about their journeys. A couple of things regarding next steps. We will be sending out an email to everybody that came along to this call tonight, and perhaps some people that couldn't make it, so that you'll be able to have a link to the session. You can rewatch it. You will also have a link to our frequently asked questions that tells you everything about the apprentices. We've got some apprentice profiles where you can read all about what these guys have been up to, and there's some really useful links as well where you can explore roles, apprenticeships, etc. If there's anything else that you need, email us at info@digdata.online. That will be on the email to you as well. Great session, guys. Feel very, very empowered and very honoured to be in the company of such wonderful people. Have a great evening, everyone. We look forward to touching base with you all soon. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.